Good afternoon and welcome to team number 4 for cs656 research project on IBM Blockchain. I'm Moses Girona. Together we have Alassane Tangola, Dejin Gong, and Shuani Javia, and we will be explaining IBM Blockchaining and what it is and how it's used. In our content, we're going to go over an introduction, how it works, the pros and cons of IBM Blockchaining, IBM Blockchaining analysis and prediction, and we'll wrap up with application and use cases of IBM Blockchaining. Dejin will do the introduction for us.
Hi, everyone. For the first part of our project, I'm going to give a brief introduction of the IBM blockchain. So for next slide, please. Here we have two definitions of blockchain technology. In Wikipedia, we call it a global scale shared database. And from the Blockchain Research Institute, it is called a distributed software network. But no matter it's a network or database, it actually have some common features that stick to the blockchain. Okay, so next slide, please. From here, we can see that anything from currencies to the land titles or to roles or standards or insurance, those are the things can be token and stored and exchanged on the blockchain database. And by design, blockchain is restricted to the modification of its data. For next slide, please. So here's a timeline of the blockchain technology, and here are three main points that we gotta take a look. In 1982, actually, David, the first guy to give a concept of the blockchain technology, and he found these protocols in his paper. And in 1991, is actually the first guy called Frank Haber and his teammates found a solution. And for the solution system, typical blockchain was used to store documents and timestamps. And in 2008, here comes the Satoshi, and we even don't know is this a real name for one person or a group of engineer. But this guy is very famous giant in the technology of blockchain because he pushed a white paper and introduced a decentralized point-to-point electric cash system. It's called the Bitcoin. So next slide, please. So the next part, we're gonna have an introduce of IBM's blockchain projects. Actually, IBM is putting a lot of efforts for the blockchain technology, both in the research and the utilization. So actually, from the research, we can see that the IBM took the 32 leading in the IBM industry, and in 2019, it has 110 positions opening in the blockchain area. And also, it's in 2019, it has 1.4 patents to come out. It's actually ranked the third among the world. So next slide, please. So for the directions, they're actually for the IBM, they have 4 directions for the IBM blockchain environment. And we're going to talk the details of this part in the part 5 with my teammates Shavani. So I'm not going to talk a lot about this. So next slide, please. So here I'm going to talk about the most important part of the IBM blockchain. It's called the IBM Blockchain Platform. So that is actually a cloud service and designed to accelerate the development, governance, and the operation of a multi-institute network. So next slide, please. So here are some recent examples that the IBM doing for the IBM blockchain platform. You can see there are 3 examples, and they are all around the world, actually, from with China, with United States, and with Singapore. And they are in the finance area, they are in the food supply chain area, and also they are in the supply chain mixed from the supply chain and the finance area. Okay, my part is here, and the next my teammates will give an introduction about the technology part.
Okay, thank you, Dejin. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Moses Jordan. I'm back again. I'm going to give you the technical review of blockchaining, how it works. It works in 5 steps. The first step is to identify what your business problem is, right? The who, what, where, and under what conditions problems occur. So we identify the problem that we want to solve, and then we have to identify the players within that problem. IBM calls this the ecosystem, right? Players within your ecosystems are identified, and the problem, where the problem occurs and how the problem occurs and under what conditions the problem occurs need to be analyzed. What also needs to be analyzed is the impact of the business loss or gain. In other words, what is the business losing? How much money is the business losing because this problem occurs? And when you identify that the problem occurs, we also want to talk about who or what is responsible for the problem. Again, this is all part of your ecosystem, okay? Now, you have a loss, you have your problem. Now you also want to analyze what the gains are. We never want to let the loss or the loss outweigh the gains. So we want to analyze what our gains are. In fixing this problem, how much will we gain? Check. So that's the first step, identifying what your business problem is. The second is forming your data flow, your ecosystem. Who shares in the problem? Who are the key players? For example, let's say you are a company that makes whatchamacallits, right? And you have 2 suppliers, one does product A, one does product B, and you have a problem with shipping. Those players would be part of your ecosystem, right? And part of your data flow. You want to know what data is coming from them and what data is going to them. That brings us to what are the sources. Now, the whole idea behind IBM blockchain is trust, right? So building trust and using cryptology in a way so that the data that's coming from the suppliers is not interweaved with other suppliers. So only one side can see the other. After that, we go through designing the business model and data flows. How the data flows and how the data is going to be used, okay? For example, subcontractors, supply chain, data works, databases. What are the sources? What are you going to do, all right? So the basic principle of blockchaining is what's called the shared ledger. A shared ledger is an append-only distributed record, which is fully auditable and shared between members of the ecosystem. So that entails having a hierarchy of a member state and then 2 organizations underneath that, using the example I gave before. So that's the shared ledger. Now, what comes into play is also the legal stuff, right? There's always legal stuff, right? You have local and international law regarding the uses of data. For example, if you're using cryptography, are you crossing over international boundaries where the US has restrictions on what type of cryptography you can use? Where your data is, how you store your data. Is your data stored in local databases? Is it shared in a distributed fashion inside the Kubernetes network? And where it physically is. Is it in Los Angeles? Is it in California? Is it in Beijing? Or is it in Bangalore? It all depends, right? And all that has to deal with data sharing regulations, industry-specific regulations. For example, HIPAA, if it's being used in the medical field, intellectual property, who owns the data, and liability and general commercial agreements such as service level agreements. Remember, data blockchain uses encryption keys. So these encryption keys, again, are governed by law. Yeah. Finally, we come to section 5, which is actually build your blockchain, in which you go into the IBM Blockchain console, and using the Kubernetes API, you create your certificate authority, your authority that is going to be your major organization. It's called the membership service provider. You create your organization in there. You allocate your resources, such as servers and where the servers are, right? And you create admin for your peers. That's the first step, create your organization. The second step is your ordering service. The ordering service is basically the organizations that are going to be supplying equipment to you, all right? So you create their CA admin, which is the certificate of admin, their ordering admin, and you create their definitions for their service MSPs, and your ordering service, what it's going to be. Then you got to create, finally you have to create the channel that connects the two. And this is where the encryption comes into play, because this is where data gets moved from one organization to another. You give your channel a name, you add ordering services to them, the OSPs you just created, and you add them to that organization. And then you go ahead and make them the operator of the channel. In the channel, you sign all the channels with certificates, and you assign peers to the channels. Then that is where you install your smart contract. Now your smart contract basically talks about the what can be shared and what cannot be shared, and also all the legal stuff that is entailed in you. Okay, so now we're going to go into the pros and cons, and we're going to go to Alassane Tangola for this.
Guys, thank you again for this wonderful presentation regarding the introduction and the technical review. So my name is Alassane Tangola. Today I'm going to be discussing the importance and the disadvantage of the IBM blockchain. So as stated on the PowerPoint, I'm going to go down the line. First, I'm going to start with the importance first, which is one of our point is regarding the high quality data. So basically, the high quality that the IBM blockchain offers a superior level of data quality. So in reality, it's a distributed ledger system where it stores data. But how does this provide a high quality? So well, you need to know that low quality data will not convert into high quality data within a night. So that's not how it happens. So anyhow, the distributed ledger technology offers a consensus process that allows you to filter out any bad data with useful data. This means that no one can just add any kind of information on the ledger or even manipulate the existing one. So every piece of information is being verified before getting added to the ledger. This will eliminate any data faults in case there is a problem. So moreover, it also get rid of any issue that come from human-made error, as every single piece of information is verified, so there is no scope for the human-made mistake. So thus, it significantly increased the quality of data. Anyhow, let's move on to the next advantage in the Blockchain Pro, which is the faster transaction. So this is very important. Unlike the bank, when you made a transaction for the bank, it can take 3 to 5 business days. But with the IBM blockchain, this makes sure once you make a transaction, it goes right in a second with no downtime. So this become more imminent when someone tries to send money overseas. So in reality, it could take up to 6 days or even process that transaction. So in time of an emergency, many consumers cannot rely on traditional bank, like I just mentioned, because it slows down the system and also the purchase. So however, with blockchain, you can complete the transaction like within one second. So the next one will be durability and security. So blockchain offer durability as its best. You could think of it's the internet where they will be building robustness. In reality, the overseas structure of the technology makes it so durable. Moreover, as you store block on information around the network, it also makes sure there is no single point of failure or any single entity controlling it. So this quality makes the system very durable. More so, and no one can alter the block. It remains to be a solid, secure platform. Other than that, it's quite efficient at finding off hacking attempt as well. So now I'm gonna move on along to with the disadvantage of blockchain. Now I'm gonna start with the high cost. So yes, blockchain is more cheaper when regarding to a lot of software, but it depends. It could be more expensive depending on which feature or which permission that you would like to have on your application. So like I mentioned, it can be costly. So that depends on the feature you want to add and also your need. So more so, developing a solution from scratch requires a healthy amount of money. Not to mention replacing the legacy system will also cost a lot of money. However, you can overcome this issue if you keep your solution at the minimum. In addition to that, joining a consortium or using a BAS can help you out of well. However, blockchain is the service that can help you in developing a solid blockchain business strategy. Next, I'm gonna talk about the redundancy performance. So redundancy performance is basically the first count and the advantage and disadvantage of blockchain list so far. In reality, the computation needs of this technology are more repetitive than centralized servers. It's because every time the ledger is updated, all the nodes need to update the version of the ledger as well. It's like, let's say you have a software on your program, on your computer that you're running to, and it demanding an update, or maybe the manufacturer requests an update and you haven't done your update. So basically your program will not work perfectly if you don't do the update. Same like the Zoom. When the manufacturer require release a new update to fix some bugs or maybe the sound or maybe the video quality, and you don't do the update, it's gonna make you fall behind, or maybe later on your software or your application might not work properly as you want it. So the next one, I'm gonna talk about the private key. The private key, basically, that's the transaction of the network. So everybody have their own private key. So even though other user can see your public key, but a private key is much more crucial as it remains hidden. Furthermore, all the blockchain address will have a private key. So you need to, since it's a private key, you have to make sure you keep it secret and hidden and no one can access it. And no one knows what's your private key. So however, if you lost your private key, you can lose a lot of your data and your phone on the network. So there is no way, one of the inconvenience about one of the disadvantages of IBM blockchain is once you lost your private key, there's no way to recover them anymore. So make sure to have your private key and safe and keep in safe area. So that's the end of my advantage and disadvantage of the IBM blockchain. So I'm gonna just summarize so for you guys to have a better understanding. So basically, blockchain is a relatively new technology right now, right? So it's quite imminent that it will have some importance and also a disadvantage of it. So, but we highlight almost all of the importance and the disadvantage of blockchain in this guide. However, you should note that blockchain has already removed most of the issue and figured out a newer way to minimize the issue as much as possible. So let's give it like a couple of years or more. You might see a perfect technology ready to disrupt the industry. This is a great opportunity to start learning more about blockchain technology. So this is the end of my part. And if anybody have a question or concern, please jump down below the reply, and then you can ask a question. I'll be willing to reply you.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take it from there. Thank you, Anthony.
okay.
Okay, so after the introduction above, and we have all the advantages and disadvantages of this technology. So in this part, I'm gonna give you a IBM blockchain analysis and prediction based on our introduced before. So next slide, please. So first thing is we're gonna give a comparison of blockchain approach from the IBM versus Microsoft. These are the two giants in the IT technology. And actually for them, there are a lot of similarities. Actually the Microsoft have its cloud platform called Elzum since 2015. And IBM launched its first commercial application of blockchain called IBM Blockchain in March 2017. So it's like 2 years later. So for the similarities, we can see that both the systems are modular and they all operate in the cloud and they all based on the open source code. And they all the decentralized ledgers that can be used to manage and ventilate almost all type of transaction. So next slide, please. But here we want to see the difference. So actually the main difference of those two blockchain systems are based on the different versions of the technology they use and the protocols they use. The IBM actually focused on the Hyperledger and the Microsoft, they focused on the Ethereum. So next slide, please. So for the IBM blockchain version, they actually have the as a early member of Hyperledger project, IBM they are dedicated to support the development of these open governed blockchains. They push the use of Hyperledger and Fabric distributed ledger for commercial application for its IBM offers. So as a result, IBM blockchain offers based on both the Linux foundations and the IBM security and the cloud technology. The next slide, please. So this is gonna be the prediction for the future of the blockchain. And we can see, especially due to the pandemic, there are a lot of changes in this particular technology. And in the prediction, we think that the global blockchain market size will grow, and 30% of the projects will make it into the production. And we also think the type of currencies like the Bitcoin will reach a new height. So next slide, please. So here we talking about how the IBM may drive the future of blockchain from the three different areas. The first is going to take us from a point to peer-to-peer. The IBM blockchain is an opportunity to establish the trust without the use of the intermediaries and actually improve the transaction environment at the same time, right? So it allows you to actively collaborate with the entire ecosystem. The second is addressing technology gaps. So IBM provides this project which will be expediently designed for enterprise. So it could earn broad industry support and better serve as a industry standards, and it could as it was, right? So last thing the IBM can do is moving from potential to practical applications. The IBM blockchain platform provides a possible way for the enterprise to build the blockchain utilization and also doing the maintenance for them. So this is basically this part. So next I'm gonna move to Shavani for the part 5.
You're on.
Hello, I'm Suhani Javia. I will be discussing application of IBM blockchain. So I will be discussing 6 different domain applications. So next slide, please. Let's start with blockchain in financial services. First, what is included in financial services? So financial service include banking service, internet banks, insurance companies, payment service, and many more. So why we need blockchain in a financial service? So in a traditional financial system, we need a multiple intermediate parties to keep record and verify transactions. Therefore, the entire process becomes time consuming and costly. So to simplify such complications, we need a blockchain. Basically, the blockchain uses a distributed ledger technology in which we don't need a central authority to keep checking against manipulation. So there are several benefits of web blockchain in financial services, which are operational specification, automated compliance, and faster settlement. Next slide. Now we will be talking about blockchain in healthcare. So basically, blockchain has a wide range of applications and uses in a healthcare. What are the uses of blockchain in healthcare? Personal health records are sensitive information and needs to be dealt with a high security. So with the help of a blockchain, we can encode the data and use in a public distributed technology so that only specific person can access that record. So our data became secure. And so it gives a several benefit. First one is it assures the data integrity across the multiple parties. Second one is we can achieve full traceability using a blockchain technology. And third one is we gain new operational efficiency with the help of distributed ledger technology. Now, next slide, please. Now, blockchain in the government. So, uh, why we need blockchain in a government? So, in a government entity, there is a lot of data that government agency have to handle, and it is government agency also have to make sure the citizen data is met, secure and trusted. So, with the help of blockchain, we can build trust with the people and the citizen. Apart from that, we can reduce risk of data leak because distributed ledger technology, no one can attack the data without the leaking them. And the third one is we can remove barriers. In a blockchain technology, we don't need an intermediate party to involve to check the record and track the transaction. So we can remove barriers in a blockchain technology. Next one, please. Now we will talking about blockchain in media and entertainment. So in media and entertainment, we will be there are a lot of frauds and the music theft that we are facing right now. The US economy loses $1.5 billion USD in total output each year. Apart from that, there are fraud rate is also increasing day by day. So with the help of blockchain technology, we can eliminate frauds. We can reduce cost as we don't need intermediators to handle our record. So we can reduce cost also. And we can increase transparency between the people and in the company that they are handling the media. Next one, please. Okay, so blockchain in IoT. Basically, IoT works on data. So it's all over the data. And we have to make sure that the data running on the cloud is being secured and don't be attacked by the attackers. So with the help of blockchain, uh, we can bring trust in our data. As blockchain is using a distributed ledger technology, so we can bring trust in the IoT data. Apart from that, we can add extra security in our data with blockchain, and we can also increase efficiency and flexibility in our IoT data which are on a cloud. Next one, please. Okay, so blockchain in supply chain. Blockchain technology enhance supply chain management through process tracking and the regulatory compliance. Why we need blockchain in supply chain? In this time, more we all need business and customer we want guarantee that our product is accurate, and we need to ensure that it doesn't attacked by doesn't attacked by the attacker. So with the help of blockchain, we can increase transparency into our consumer goods from source point to the end consumption. Apart from that, we can also accurate our asset tracking, and then we can increase and enhance the license of the services, product, and the software with the help of blockchain technology. So I am finishing here.
Okay, so thank you for watching. This is Mo Girona, Alasani Tongola, Dejin Jokpong. Shuani Shavia signing off and saying thank you for watching our IBM block training presentation.